Rockstar Games has blessed us with multiple deep and immersive video games across various platforms that all have their unique vibe and feel. From the Wild West to the gritty streets of Liberty City, Rockstar has earned their right to be regarded as one of the best to do it when it comes to open world and free roam titles. But what if I told y'all they released a Grand Theft Auto video game for the Nintendo DS of all consoles? That's right, in today's video, we're going to be looking at Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. Chinatown Wars has you play as Hong Li, a member of the Triad crime syndicate in Liberty City. After his father is mysteriously murdered, Hong is tasked with delivering a family heirloom, a ceremonial sword known as a Yuzhan, to his uncle Kenny Lee, who was a Triad leader in Liberty City. The sword symbolizes power and leadership within the Triad, and Hong's mission is to ensure the family retains control of their operations. However, things go wrong almost immediately, setting the stage for Hong's personal quest for revenge, power, and survival. The game begins with Hong Li arriving in Liberty City after flying in from Hong Kong. Shortly after landing, he's ambushed, his father's sword is stolen, and Hong himself is left for dead, dumped into the harbor. But let's rewind a little bit, cause Hong is a god. So, when he's ambushed, he gets shot in the head, right? Okay, they put his body into a car and they essentially try to figure out what they need to do with Hong, cause they assume he's dead. They shot him in the head, right? It grazed him, but he's still conscious. So, they come up with the bright idea to drive this car into a river. Literally ghostwrite this car in a river with Hong inside of it. However, Hong is a G, because the car goes in the river, starts sinking, and this man is conscious enough to break the glass. He's conscious enough to get out of the car while it's sinking, swim to shore, steal another car, and drive to his uncle's, all while being shot in the head like less than an hour ago. Give your props to the man, he's half robot, half human. However, this does set the tone for the rest of the game, as Hong navigates Liberty City's criminal underworld to try to retrieve the sword, avenge his father, and re-establish his family's influence within the Triad. Along the way, he gets caught in various power struggles, works with different factions, and uncovers hidden plots that go beyond just the theft of the sword. So now that you get a good premise of what the game is about, let me talk about the gameplay, and man, it is fun. See, what Rockstar did in Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars specifically for the DS, there were other releases, but we're talking about the DS version, is they took advantage of the touchscreen controls. They took advantage of the dual screen. When you want to rob a car, you put a screwdriver into the ignition and you have to turn the screwdriver with your stylus to get the car started. Want to go and buy some scratch-off tickets? You gotta scratch the scratch-off tickets with your stylus. Want to dig through garbage cans for weapons? You gotta drag the garbage bags out the way to find the weapons. And I really enjoy the fact that they turned the bottom screen into a HUD of sorts for you to look at. I think it was really thoughtful of Rockstar to implement these kind of controls and not just ignore it completely, because it adds an entire different aspect to Grand Theft Auto and it makes it feel even more arcade-like than it already did. And to add on to the presentation of the game itself, you will quickly notice that this is a top-down style Grand Theft Auto. This is very reminiscent of the original Grand Theft Autos. I personally enjoy this kind of style of Grand Theft Auto because it adds a whole different aspect to the game, and like I said, it makes it feel more arcadey, and when I'm playing a game on the DS, that arcade feel feels great. You know, it's not trying to do too much because of the limitations of the DS, but I feel like Rockstar worked very well with what limited hardware the DS brings. And the graphics for this game are extremely stylized and look good in my opinion. You know, like I said, Rockstar isn't trying to reinvent the wheel here, they're just working with what hardware they had, and I feel like they did a very good job going for a more stylized version than something that felt ultra realistic. To me, this feels like more of a passion project than something they were forced to put out, and I love that completely. Now, one downside to all of this, and especially a top-down camera, is you can't necessarily see what's ahead of you. And in a game like Grand Theft Auto where you are recklessly driving through the streets, it's very easy to get in a crash just because you didn't know what was ahead of you, and given the small screen on the Nintendo DS. But truthfully, after a while I got used to it, I can get over it, I might just be a little nitpicky here. And just like any other Grand Theft Auto video game you played, there is no shortage of activities and mini games to do in this one. There's a lot of mini games to do in here, there's a lot of random things to explore, and of course there's stunt jumps everywhere in this map. My favorite one was a Rampage minigame where you essentially go down the streets trying to kill as many rival gang members as possible and build up a high combo. It was more satisfying than it really should have been. Now, another drawback to this game, for me at least, is the combat. While I do think it's pretty cool you can perform combos while fighting fist to fist, and the melee feels pretty fluid, I will say using guns in this game is not enjoyable, at least for me. Personally, I had a hard time locking on to enemies, or I would just not lock on at all. I didn't really feel like I had too much control of my weapon, and it just generally felt a bit clunky. Now with that said, there are a ton of cool weapons to use in this game, but it's just a little tricky to use them. It kind of reminds me of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I wasn't really a fan of that targeting style either. However, this is something that you could be able to look past moving forward in the game. But I mean, hey, overall, I had an amazing time revisiting this classic. It's definitely something that has more of a niche following nowadays, especially given it's not in the main releases of Grand Theft Auto such as GTA 4 and 5, but it definitely still has a little bit of a following, and if you haven't played this game, I would definitely try it. I know there's a mobile version and a PSP version, but the reason I wanted to talk about the DS version is those touch controls and the usage of the bottom screen, the dual screen. That is phenomenal. I think they hit it out of the park with that one. It makes the game just feel so much more fun, and it really gives it that replayable arcade feel. But yeah, I just wanted to spend this time to look back on Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. If you guys played this game, let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts on it? What are your experiences? And be sure to like and subscribe, as I will upload content on a weekly basis. Peace, y'all.